wanted to share with you, some of you went with us. We took 4 busloads of Georgians down to Florida a few weeks ago to educate the voters down there. Now, is this a door hanger or what? This is what we hung on the doors in Florida, and we were talking about the failing agenda of the current administration. But you know what that is already. But I just wanted to share that with you, that many of your friends went, and it was a good time. But we're going to talk about the Charter School Amendment for a minute. We started out with the Pledge of Allegiance. And what's the end of that Pledge of Allegiance? With liberty and justice for all. And that's really the crux of school choice, is liberty, which means freedom to be able to choose the school that works for your student, because parents know better than anybody else if that school is working out for their child. And then justice, because I homeschooled my kids, all 4 of them, all 12 years. And so I exercised school choice. I had to fight down at the state to keep homeschool legal 15 years ago. Any homeschoolers out there? Okay, what if you had to go to every county to ascertain if it was going to be legal for you to homeschool your kids? I mean, that's not what we need. I am all about local control. Americans for Prosperity is for smaller government. We're for fiscal responsibility in government. We have 2.2 million members nationwide that believe in those things. We have 52,000 right here in the state of Georgia that believe in those things. So don't think for a minute that we have abandoned that position when it comes to this issue. I'm going to give you a quick ABC of charter schools, because there seems to be a ton of misunderstanding out there about charter schools. So the ABCs are this. A is accountability. They are accountable to a local school board within their school. Every charter school that is an independent startup charter has its own school board. So they're accountable to that school board. They're also accountable for results. If they don't get the results that they contract with in their charter, they get shut down. So they are very accountable. Achievement. Let's talk about achievement, because you will hear some strange statistics out there. And you know that you can pretty much prove whatever you want to prove. But if you are looking, there's system charters and there are startup charters. And this argument does not concern system charters whatsoever. And that's what most of the charter schools that we have in Georgia are right now. Startup charters are charters that parents wanted to start. And so they went through the application process. Those schools do perform better than the districts where those students came from in those schools. And so they have a good rate of achievement. Again, the thing comes back to me, you know if your child is doing well in school, you know if they're learning. And so, again, I think the parents are the best arbiter of that, but we also have statistics to back it up. Let's talk about accessibility. Some people say, well, you know, those are private schools, or you have to fill out an application, or you have to take a test to get in those schools. That's not true. That's a magnet school. That's part of your public school system that you have to do that for. Charter schools accept everybody. They even have to take English as a second language students. They have to take disabled students. They have to take every kind of student out there. Okay, let's talk about the B's. Will this create a huge bureaucracy? No. Americans for Prosperity Georgia would not be behind anything that created a new, huge, expensive bureaucracy. This commission existed for 3 years with no dire consequences. The Supreme Court decided it was illegal in a very highly contested 4-3 decision. Justice Namias wrote a very stinging dissent of this decision because it made up a word that wasn't in the Constitution. It said local school boards have exclusive control. That word exclusive is nowhere in the Constitution. As a matter of fact, it does say in the Constitution that the state of Georgia is responsible for providing an adequate education. My other B is going to be baloney, because I have been on the internet and I have read more baloney about this bill than I could fit in 5 refrigerators. I have heard it's a communist plot, a Muslim plot, an Agenda 21 plot, and I'm sorry, nothing can be further from the truth. That's just nuts. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, except that don't believe everything you read. Check it out. Think about what communism is, where everybody does what's convenient for the government and you have no choices because there's only one way to do it. Now think if that resembles more what we're doing right now or what we would be doing if we had more choice with charter schools. I also want to talk about bloomers because there's a lot of numbers that people keep pulling out of their bloomers about how much this is going to cost, including our school superintendent. He claims that we're going to spend this many $1 million over so many years. Well, there's no way of knowing that. They also make some claims, and we'll go on to see here, about the cash situation. Let's talk about how they're funded, because they will not take any money, and this is in the enabling legislation. How many of you have read the enabling legislation, House Bill 797? Any of you can read that. It is online. You can find it on the Georgia General Assembly website, House Bill 797. I encourage you to read that, because it says clearly in there that no local funds will go to fund startup charter schools that are not approved at the local level. This commission is like a board of appeals, but the funding will come from the state. They have also made a commitment that that money would not come out of, and it's in the law, by the way, it's not just something they said, that it would not come out of education funding, it would come out of the general fund. So if you have heard that, it's just not true. Let's talk about that local control thing, because I keep hearing about local control, and boy, am I for more local control. But let me ask you something. You've got Gwinnett County. You've got 700,000 citizens that live in Gwinnett County, and you've got 7 school board members. Who knows better what's going on with your child, that 7-member school board or the parent in the home? The parents. Exactly. Thank you. I always trust the parents. I've heard, don't trust that state government, they're awful. Well, let me tell you, I've met some pretty distrustworthy local school board people, and as well as people at the state level that are untrustworthy. But I will tell you that parents want the best education for their children, and they deserve to have some choices. The third C is choices for children that work. As I said, I homeschooled my kids. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do that. If you have money, you have choice. And I don't mean rich, I just mean if you can afford it right now, you have some level of choice. But there are children stuck in systems like Clayton County, City of Atlanta, and others, and small systems that aren't working out so well, that don't have any choice. There's a lady right now in jail. She is from Clayton County. Her child was in a school system that, one more time, have you read it in the news? They're about to be non-accredited. They're about to lose their accreditation. And so the last time that happened, she took her child, and I don't think this is a good idea. Obviously it wasn't for her. She took her child, she falsified paperwork so that her child could go to a Henry County school, so that her child could graduate from an accredited school, because she cared about the education of her child. Did she carry that out in the best way? No, she did not. I wouldn't agree with that. But I will say that I appreciate her heart for her child, and that she wanted an education for that child so that her child could get into college. Because when they lose their accreditation, they can't do that. So you may say, well, this is only a Clayton County problem. Well, no, it's not. We have a problem across the state of Georgia. Now, Fayette County has good schools. Forsyth County has good schools. My home county, Paulding County, has good schools. But you know, when companies look to move here from other places, they don't say, how are Fayette County schools doing? They say, how are Georgia schools doing? Do you know how many Georgia students drop out between 9th and 12th grade? 1 out of every 3 Georgia students does not graduate. From starting in 9th grade to 12th grade, they don't graduate. I talked with a young man in Savannah this week. who went to a charter school, and he said, when I went to a charter school in Savannah, when we started out, we had the smallest senior class of compared to all the local high schools in Savannah. He said, but do you know what? We had the largest graduating class of all those schools. So this is something that this recreates something that we already have, that worked, that was overturned by judicial activism. I don't know what else to call that, because they made up words that are not in the Constitution, and I am never for that. And we need to do it. There's girls up in Ivy Prep who came from school systems where they were scoring, these same girls were scoring in the 50s and 60s. They came from DeKalb and Gwinnett County schools. And they went to Ivy Prep. It's an all-girl charter school. They are now scoring in the 90s. Gwinnett County just turned down their application to renew. They should have the right to appeal. If you go to court, you have the right to appeal. If you get a tax assessment, you have the right to appeal. This is only about the right to appeal. The commission has no authority and never has gone into a community and decided to start a charter school. It doesn't work that way. The parents in that area decide if they want a charter school, they get a plan together, they come to the commission, not the other way around. So I would urge you to come by our table. Our table is right by the blue tent. You can get a sign that says vote yes for public charter schools, and I'd love for you to take one home with you. You can sign up to help, let people know. But I do want to say this, no matter what happens on this charter school amendment, we still have work to do. Fiscal responsibility in government is our goal. Fiscal sanity in government. That gives me job security because there's so much fiscal insanity in government. We need all of us working together. I would urge you, even if you don't agree with me on this issue, please sign up for our newsletter, because this issue is going to be over in about 2.5 weeks. Let's continue to work together to hold our elected officials accountable at every level of government, from the federal on down to your local government. And let's do this thing, because we are the only ones that can save our country. The people sitting here, I'm not counting on politicians anywhere to do it. How about you?